So I'm working with a client on just releasing the fear of doing it wrong. And tap along if you have that fear, if that ever comes up in your life. Even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
Even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
I choose to deeply love and accept myself.
I choose to deeply love and accept myself.
Even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
Even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
and disappointing people,
and disappointing people,
or even pissing them off,
or even pissing them off,
and getting punished for it.
and getting punished for it.
And even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
And even though I have this fear of doing it wrong,
and getting punishment,
I
choose to deeply love and honor myself anyway.
choose to deeply love and honor myself anyway.
Even though I have this fear of doing it wrong.
Even though I have this fear.
And I'd like to create more space for myself.
And I'd like to create more space for myself.
I want more space to be me.
I want more space to be me.
Right, wrong, good, bad.
Right, wrong, good, bad.
Rumi said there's a field beyond ideas of right and wrong.
I will not be able to repeat that. Wrong.
You don't have to say it, just feel it. Rumi said there's a field beyond ideas of right and wrong. And he said, I'll meet you there. So I choose to meet him there.
So I choose to meet them there.
I choose to have a larger Rumi.
I choose to be a larger Rumi.
To make Rumi for all of me and all my mistakes and all my learnings and fumblings. And you don't have to repeat all that.
Yes.
And I deeply love, honor, and accept myself and all my gifts, my whole process, the whole enchilada.
Yes.
Yeah. This fear of doing it wrong.
This fear of doing it wrong.
All this fear of doing it wrong.
All this fear of doing it wrong.
And it's quite understandable.
And it's quite understandable.
Because when I did it wrong in childhood.
Well, because when I did it wrong in childhood,
I received punishment.
I received punishment.
Criticism.
Criticism.
Impatience.
Impatience.
The withdrawal of acceptance.
Withdrawal of acceptance.
And it's very painful.
And it's very painful.
And I choose to release this pain.
And I choose to release this pain.
Going all the way back through my childhood and beyond.
Going all the way to my childhood and beyond.
Maybe even past lives.
Maybe even past lives.
Just releasing all this pain.
Just releasing all this pain.
And clearing the fear.
And clearing that fear.
That something bad might happen.
That something bad may happen.
If I make a mistake.
If I make a mistake.
If I do something wrong.
If I do something wrong.
It's like I've been walking on eggshells.
It's like I've been walking on eggshells.
And I choose to stop walking on them.
And I choose to stop walking on them.
And start smashing them.
Start smashing them.
I'm going to do a dance on these eggshells.
I'm going to do dance on this eggshells.
And I'm going to smash all these ideas of right and wrong.
And smash all of these ideas of right and wrong.
All of this fear of doing it wrong.
All of this fear of doing it wrong.
Just clearing that fear now.
Just clearing this fear
Clearing
now.
it out of my nervous system.
Out of my nervous system.
Out of my mental body.
Out of my mental
body. Out of my emotional body.
Out of my emotional body.
Clearing it from my beautiful inner child.
Out of my inner beautiful child.
Because my inner child, my inner child needs plenty of room to make mistakes.
Needs plenty of room to make mistakes.
Because making mistakes is how I grow.
Because making mistakes is how I grow.
It's how I grow as an artist.
This is how I grow as an artist.
As a healer.
As a healer.
As a human being.
As a human being.
And last time I checked.
I
was a human being.
I was a human being.
Still am.
What's that?
Still am.
I still am.
And therefore I make mistakes.
Therefore I make mistakes. Oh.
And to make mistakes is human.
To make mistakes is human.
And to give myself a break is divine.
And to give myself a break is divine.
Releasing all this fear.
Releasing all this fear.
All this fear of doing it wrong.
All this fear of doing it
all
wrong.
this fear of not being liked,
All this fear of not being
all this
liked.
fear of being dismissed,
All this fear of being dismissed,
judged,
judged,
rejected,
rejected,
abandonment,
abandoned.
all these scary things that might happen
All the scary things that might happen
if I do something wrong,
if I do something wrong,
if I fall out of line,
if I fall out of line,
if I disappoint my parents.
if I disappoint my parents.
And I did disappoint them.
And I did disappoint
And
them.
it was their stuff.
And it's their stuff.
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
I didn't deserve the judgment.
I didn't deserve the judgment.
Kids are supposed to do lots of things wrong.
Kids are supposed to do lots of things wrong.
Letting go of all that judgment.
Let go of all that judgment.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
I give myself permission.
I give myself permission
to experiment.
To experiment.
To splash around in puddles.
To splash around in puddles.
To get wet.
To get wet.
Because wet is hot.
Because that is hot.
And I'm hot stuff.
And I love hot stuff.
I release this fear of making mistakes.
I release this fear of making mistakes.
I release the whole kingdom of right and wrong.
Release all the kingdom of right and wrong.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
I'm in that field with Rumi.
I am this field with Rumi.
We're hanging out on this field.
Hanging out on this field.
Having a picnic.
Having a picnic.
Having a ball.
Having a ball.
And it frees me to give so much more.
And it frees me to give so much more.
To not be worried about what the neighbors are thinking.
Stop worrying about what neighbors are thinking.
Or what the clients are thinking.
Or
what the clients are thinking. Because what really matters is connecting to my energy.
Connecting to my energy.
Connecting to my energy.
Connecting into my energy.
And loving myself.
And loving myself.
In body, mind, and spirit.
In body, mind, and spirit.
Repeat, lather, and rinse as necessary.